Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Sunday, January 17th, 2016. This is episode 1254. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Epson's new EcoTank printers. With Epson's line of Super Tank all-in-one printers, you can print thousands of documents without running out of ink. EcoTank, loaded and ready to print when you are. Visit Epson.com/EcoTank to find out more. And by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you could post to 100-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/TechGuy. And by Headspace. Train your mind for a healthier, less stressed life. Download the free Headspace app and begin their Take 10 program for 10 days of guided meditation at headspace.com/techguy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all the exciting new stuff that comes to us courtesy the technology revolution, including, of course, social media and Facebook and Twitter and all that jazz. You want to talk about it? I'd love to talk about it with you. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. And if you're outside that area, you can use Skype because it's a toll-free number and you'll be able to reach us without any cost to you. 888-827-5536. And you can call me from your cell phone, from Verizon or T-Mobile. Now, okay, so I've been watching a little football. And the more TV, normally, I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of broadcast television, because there's all that stuff on Netflix and Amazon and stuff. But I've been seeing a lot of ads for the cell phone companies, particularly that Verizon one, with the balls and the bowling balls and all that. And Verizon is the best network you ever saw in your whole life. Best nationwide network. And you've seen other people make these claims and so forth. I just want to point out one thing. First of all, the difference between first and last is small. The difference between first and second is really tiny. So it's not going to make a huge difference to you. And second, it doesn't matter unless you are a long-haul truck driver that goes to every state of the union. What really matters to you, and you know this, is how good your connection is where you use your smartphone. And that varies a lot. It can vary a lot. So I think that these ads are really, in some sense, misleading because I guess we all want to go with a winner. But if, let's say, Verizon, in this case, is a nationwide winner, doesn't mean it's the winner in your neck of the woods. In fact, Verizon, where I am, is terrible. T-Mobile's really good. Sprint's terrible. AT&T's pretty good. So who's the winner in your area really is what matters, unless you travel a lot. And then there are other concerns, things to think about as well, that besides coverage, because the difference, again, between the worst and the first is so small that you probably aren't going to notice it. And there's a lot of other factors, how congested the network is. If you're on the number one network, that means the most people in your area are using it. Guess what? That means your bandwidth is going to suffer. It's not going to be as good, right? Then one of the reasons I think T-Mobile is great here is because it's number 4. It's not that many people. I'm not sharing my internet connection with a bunch of other people. And then, of course, there's things to think about in terms of cost, bandwidth plans, shared versus individual, unlimited versus limited. Is unlimited really limited? As it is in most cases. Well, when phone companies have gotten a little trouble for this, some have paid fines. What do you think of when you say unlimited data? When I say you pay $70 a month and you will get unlimited voice, text, and data. Sounds like without limit. I guess it's technically without limit, but here's the thing. In most cases, after, say, 3, 4, or 5 gigabytes of downloads in a month, they will slow you down so much you won't want to use it anymore. Technically, I guess it's still unlimited. They're not limiting the data. They're just slowing it down. They're throttling it. FCC has decided that that actually is limited. That's not the spirit of unlimited. So that's another thing to ask them. And maybe you won't get the best, most reliable answer if you ask your local store, which I have. Is this unlimited? Oh, yeah. I mean, no. I mean, completely unlimited? Oh, yeah. You're not going to throttle me, are you? Oh, no. Ever throttle you. Of course they throttle you. So that's another thing to think about. There's an interesting story going on right now about T-Mobile and their Binge On service. T-Mobile does an interesting thing, which consumers love, and I don't. And people get mad at me for complaining about it because, hey, this is good. Started with music services like Spotify, Google Music, Apple Music, and others. T-Mobile said, we won't count that against your data. It won't cost you. We won't count it against, if you have bandwidth caps, it won't cost you against your bandwidth caps. We won't even consider it. Who wouldn't like that? And now they're doing it. They call it Binge On. Good marketing. They're doing it with Netflix and other streaming services. Not YouTube, but other streaming services. Don't count against your data caps. Don't count against your bill. But that's good, isn't it? Well, yeah. But here's the problem. T-Mobile now puts itself in the position of saying, of declaring winners and losers in streaming music and streaming video. They say, well, anybody can do this if you follow these carefully prescribed rules. Anybody can do this. But what they're really saying is, well, we've decided that these big guys are the ones who count. And a news service is disadvantaged because they're not getting that advantage from the consumer's point of view. There's another thing that's going on behind the scenes, which is even worse, which is that if you do opt in to Binge On, and by the way, it's on by default on a T-Mobile network, all video is throttled down to 1.5 megabits per second. All video. Whether they're the Binge On providers, approved providers or not. YouTube too. That helps T-Mobile a lot. See, what I think happened is T-Mobile said, gosh, we really got to cut down use of the network. It's killing us here. What do we do? And the engineer said, well, you know what you could do? We just flip a switch and then nobody can get more than 1.5 megabits per second of video. Ooh, isn't that going to affect the quality? Well, no. If they're getting it from a service that sees that, and like Netflix, and then says, oh, well, we'll send you a lower res. We'll send you a 480p instead of 720 or 1080p version of the video. Then it should be fine. And on a small screen, 480p, that's DVD quality. That's probably good enough. Oh, okay. So we're going to do this to everybody. Yeah. Are there any services that won't notice this and will start to stutter and lag? Oh, yeah. A lot of them. Okay. How can we make this a positive then? Because we want to do this. This will save us bandwidth congestion. Oh, well, you say, here's what you do. You don't charge them for the big ones, Netflix and so forth. You say, it's called Binge On, and it's a good thing. Oh, yeah, that's good marketing. That's good marketing. But you should be aware if you're a T-Mobile user and you start to notice that some video streams stutter, including, by the way, some of the video streams I send through my podcast network. That's why I'm aware of this. You might want to turn off Binge On. Oh, but wait a minute, Leo, I'll have to pay. Maybe not. Most T-Mobile plans are unlimited, aren't they? Maybe you don't actually get any real benefit anyway. I think John Legere, who's the CEO of T-Mobile and who's made a name for himself as a honest man of the people, long hair, purple wearing man of the people, speaks the truth to power. Yeah, you know what? He is power. He's the CEO of a massive telco owned by Deutsche Telekom, one of the biggest telephone companies in the world. And maybe he isn't exactly a man of the people because he says, oh, anybody who says that this Binge On thing's a bad thing is bad. Who is this Electronic Frontier founder? Who are these EFF people complaining about this? Somebody explained to him, John, they're the good guys. Oh, I'm a good guy, so I apologize. But we're not throttling. We're just slowing it down. That's not throttling. You know, we've gotten to, sad to say, and I think it's partly because of the proliferation of media and the many, many voices we all hear now thanks to the internet. We've got to the point where you can make a big lie. You can really just say black is white. And if you say it loud enough, a lot of people just go, okay, black is white. Yeah, he said, well, he's a man of the people. His hair's long, and he said black is white, so I'm for him. I'm with him. Well, I hate to be the bad guy here, but it's not a good thing. 8888 Ask Leo. Hey, let's talk high tech. What's on your mind? Computers, the internet? Just bought myself a $35 computer. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I put in my order for my Tesla, but now I have to call him because I don't want it so soon. I got the email. But I want to, it's a very interesting company because I want to look at the colors, but we haven't built it. So I don't know what I'm going to do here. I have to call them and say, hey, what if I don't really want it till September?
Is this the one that goes like this?
Yeah. You want to see my Tesla?
Yes, I do. I know somebody else who ordered one too. He's waiting.
Well, so what you do, really, they're kind of in the catbird seat. Because it's a very limited, so they can so what you do is you have to give them $5,000 to get on the waiting list. And then they say, stay tuned, you'll get an email saying, okay, it's time to design your Tesla. But what they don't tell you is, okay, now I've designed it, and then give you a week to change your design, and then they're going to start building it, which means you can't change your design now because they're building it. But then they don't say when, but they say, we'll tell you when you're going to get it, but they haven't. So I don't want it so soon. I have to call them.
What if you have to wait so long that you decide you don't want one? Do you get your $5,000 back?
I don't know. I would guess there's enough demand that you could find somebody who would take it. But I don't know. That's a good question. Can you sell your position? I guess you can. Yeah, I've been in Tesla S's, and Jason's got a nice one. So, let's see. Where's my design? Where's my design? I have to call him. It's not as expensive as I thought it would be.
Is it like an SUV? Is that what I heard?
It's a crossover.
Okay.
Whatever that, I don't know what that means. It means it's an SUV, sort of. So tell me what you think. What do you think of that color? See, I can't really tell if that's a good color or not. They call it titanium, but it looks a little more bronzy. Doesn't it? But you can't tell on a computer.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
actually like the original Tesla better.
You don't like the design?
Mm.
And the tan seats, Lisa says, don't get tan seats. That's ugly. But the choice is black, white, or tan.
I'd like black.
Yeah, maybe I should get black seats.
Won't show the dirt.
Oh, it'll show the dirt, because sometimes dirt's light colored. Looks like a car drives like a truck. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. Heather Hammond? No, it's Kim Schaffer's here. Sunday's Kim Day. Kim Schaffer is here. Hello, Kim.
Hello.
Answering the phone. Have you been lining up callers?
I have.
Like a good phone answerer?
Yeah. So today we're going to start in beautiful downtown Petaluma.
You're kidding.
Larry from Petaluma.
You should get a deal if you only call from across town.
Right?
Should only cost you a nickel.
He's probably outside in a car somewhere.
I know Larry. He's been in the studio before. Hi, Larry. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing okay. I'm finding a little cold. Otherwise, I probably would be in the studio today watching you.
Okay. Don't come in if you're sick. I don't want to.
Oh, I know. I wouldn't do that for you.
Everybody in my family had the flu. And I'm just terrified that I'm going to get it. But so far, so good.
Yeah, luckily I just have a cold, so hopefully it'll stay that way.
Good. I hope you feel better soon.
I wanted to upgrade. Thank you. I wanted to upgrade my Galaxy S4, and so based on part in your recommendation, I ordered over the holidays a Nexus 6P, and I was going to try the Project Fi. So by the time I got everything together, I got the phone in a couple of days, but the SIM card took a while. Anyway, I used the phone for a day, and I discovered that I could not hide my number for outgoing calls. So after calling both the Play Store and the Google Fi, and looking online, discovered that it just can't be done.
What were you doing? Pressing *69 or something? *62?
Well, you can do it that way. You can plus *67, but you have to do it for each call, and that's a pain.
Right. And so on your older phone, there was a way to block it, and that must be a carrier-specific feature, I would guess.
Well, that was my question. Is that did it have? Because apparently, from what I looked at online, you could do it in older versions of Android, but somehow with Marshmallow or I don't know if that's particular to the 6P or not. So I can do it. I'm calling you right now on my AT&T S4, and I can do it. I have it blocked. But I don't know if that is carrier-specific.
It's carrier-specific, and I guess that Google Fi, one of the reasons Fi might not do it is because Fi is a weird carrier. They're an MVNO, mobile virtual network operator. That means they lease bandwidth and data from other carriers. But in this case, they do 3 different ways, and it varies. Sprint, T-Mobile, whoever's stronger, or Wi-Fi. And so sometimes you're making Wi-Fi calls, sometimes you're making T-Mobile calls, sometimes you're making Sprint calls. And it would be my guess that that's what makes it hard for them to just have a setting in the operating system that says block outgoing phone number. I've seen that setting. It is carrier specific. It's not Android specific. It's carrier specific.
But Leo, if I kept that phone, which I didn't, I sent it back. But if I had kept that and put in an AT&T SIM, then somehow the operating system wouldn't get changed.
No, but it doesn't matter because there's a sequence you can dial to tell AT&T block all outgoing numbers.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Yeah, not just *67, but a longer sequence you can dial.
Okay. Well,
so you can always do it. You can always do it if the carrier supports it. You can always do it by dialing out a special number, and then if the operating system offers it, that's pretty much all it does, as far as I know. You know, there's call forwarding and other things, and essentially that's what it does. Is it sends that signal to the carrier.
Okay, so if I had actually kept the phone and put an AT&T SIM, because I went back to AT&T, which I'm on now, I could have used it because I liked the phone for the short time I had it. So you think that there's a way to just do it with AT&T so it's permanent?
Yeah. I'm looking, and by the way, call blocking, you should know, doesn't work when you call a business. The one people you really like to block.
Actually, it does. On this S4, if I put hide number, if I call an 800 number, at least from what I can tell, it isn't coming through. Maybe it does at times, maybe it doesn't.
So I'm looking at Google Fi Help, and it does say you can dial *67 on the phone number for 1 call at a time.
Yeah, but if you're in your car and trying to voice dial, that's a pain in the
choose if your name displays to others in caller ID. If you don't want your info to be shared, go to your Google account settings and uncheck the box next to your phone number. So maybe you have to do it inside your...
I saw that post and I looked for that and it didn't exist. I could not find it, nor could the people at the Play Store help me with that. So I think that may have been an older version. That's why I'm curious of whether they just eliminated it in Marshmallow.
Yeah, no, it's really carrier specific. My guess is because Fi uses different carriers.
Yeah.
You know, and it literally in call can switch. So it would be very hard for them to enforce that. I don't know how they would do that, and so that's my suspicion.
But wouldn't that be the case? Wouldn't that difficulty still exist if you dial *67 and it had to switch?
Yeah, they say you can. So I don't. Yeah, you're right. This is an interesting question, Larry. I don't really know. I don't block my ID because I don't know. I just I feel like this is a benefit. I don't answer calls from blocked IDs either. So I feel
that I have a choice for, but I want to be able to display. You know, sometimes if I want my number displayed, I'll unblock it and then for an outgoing call. But most of the time, I don't want to have that happen because I get work.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And you should be able to do this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not an expert on this one. I'm just guessing when I say it's because there's such a strange kind of MVNO. But maybe somebody will know and give us a ring. So what are you gonna go back to the Galaxy?
Well, I'm on it right now. I'm still on the S4, and I'm going to stay on it until I can. That's why I was wondering if I bought another new phone, whether it would be the same issue if it's Android. I suppose if I buy an AT&T phone, it would probably work.
I knew I should have brought my Galaxy S6 in. Gosh darn it, I left it at home today. I could have checked for you. I use it on AT&T, so I could have checked for. No, actually, that one's a T-Mobile phone. But I do have Android on AT&T. I have the BlackBerry Privis on AT&T. My guess is, if you're on a specific carrier, they can add those. Carriers do add features.
Yeah, I know.
And I suspect that's probably one of them.
I'll try to check with AT&T and see if they have a clarification on that. But if there's a way to do it by in AT&T system, if I use their SIM, then that's okay too.
Yeah. You got it. You got me on that one, and I'll tell you what. I'll keep the lines open at 80. Of course, I will at 8888. Ask Leo if somebody has some knowledge of the way this works, because I just don't. I hadn't really thought about that because I don't use call blocking ever. Google Fi says you can block individual calls with *67. And you're right. That sounds like they have that capability even if you change carriers, because you can with Google Fi. You can be on a Sprint call, and the Sprint networks gets weaker. The T-Mobile gets better. It will seamlessly hand it over to the T-Mobile network. And when you get home and you get close to your Wi-Fi, as soon as it sees the Wi-Fi, it'll hand it over to the Wi-Fi, and you won't even know. In fact, I had to Fi won't tell you. I had to download a special application that tells you which network you're on. It's interesting to watch those networks flip around. Google now does not like voice dialing special characters are part of your contact. I don't know. I'll have to figure this all out. I'm looking at the chat room right now. Maybe you got an answer? 8888 Ask Leo. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Our show today brought to you by Epson. Those great Eco Tank printers like the Epson ET4550. If you visit epson.com/ecotank, you can find out what's going on here. So I've been a fan of Epson printers back since the MX80, my dot matrix printer. I mean, Epson's always made great printers. When the inkjets came along, I used the Epson Artisan, upgraded to the Precision Core Epson when that came out a couple of years ago. That was a big change. Epson took the industrial print engine, inkjet print engine that it was selling on the real expensive high-end printers, brought it down to the home and small office and business users. 40 million drops of ink per second, super crisp, super fast. Well, now they've taken those Precision Core printers and they've really made, in some ways, the biggest change of all time. They've eliminated the inkjet cartridge. On these EcoTank printers, they have ink tanks, and they come with up to 2 years of ink in the box. Now, of course, it's still an inkjet printer. You still have a print head and you still have an inkjet, but you don't buy cartridges anymore. You buy bottles of ink, and they're very low cost, and you only need to do this every few years. This is so cool. The Epson ET4550. By the way, you'll experience loading it because the ink doesn't come in the tank when you buy the printer. It comes in the bottles, so you open the bottles. The bottles aren't very big, but you get 11,000 black pages or 8,500 color pages worth of ink in the box. And so that's about 2 years. That's the equivalent of about 50 ink cartridges. And when you run out of ink, a couple of years from now, you'll buy these inexpensive bottles, refill, and then you got another 2 years. So this is really remarkable. That's just the 4550. They even have high-end EcoTank printers for business printing. I just like looking at this one. The WFR 4640, 20,000 pages of ink in the box. This is workgroup printing made right. I tell you what. Kudos to Epson for doing the right thing and giving users what they want. You still can buy inkjet cartridges, absolutely, for some of their printers. I still have an Epson Workforce. I'll continue to use cartridges because it's kind of a light-duty printer. But for those times when you just don't want to run out of ink during a print job, the EcoTank is an amazing solution. Of course, it's still Precision Core, so you get high speed, you get vivid colors, laser quality black text, no warm-up time, auto two-sided printing, a 30-page auto document feeder that really works. And the wireless printing is awesome. Sure, it works on your Wi-Fi, but it also works from your phones and your tablets. It supports all the platforms like Google Cloud Print and Apple's AirPrint. Learn more at Epson, EPSON.com/EcoTank. Epson.com/ecotank, loaded and ready to print in the box for up to 2 years. Thank you, Epson. Epson, exceed your vision. Ed is in Chino Hills, California, our next caller. Hi, Ed.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Hey, Leo. I'm building a new house. I'm in a steep canyon between two urban areas. I get poor cell signal, and I've got no access to fiber. So my first question is Cat 5e versus Cat 6.
Okay.
Is there a real advantage?
So in the early days, when you're building a house, this is a good question to ask. And it's much more expensive, by the way. You go from Cat 5, these are the Ethernet cables. You go from Cat 5 to Cat 5e to Cat 6. There's a big jump in cost as you go up. The difference is, of course, the shielding and the capability, the bandwidth capability. Cat 6 can go up to 10 gigabits, which is pretty amazing. The question is, but you've got a house, right? So you're going to buy a lot of it and run a lot of wire. What did we do, 5e or 6, John, when we upgraded the studio? We did 6. And we're getting a gigabyte of data a second transfer. I mean, it's amazing. But it cost us $30,000 for the cabling. It was expensive. So I think the best way, believe it or not, to future-proof your home is to buy 5e is fine. But don't just put in 5e. Put in duct work. Put in tubing so you can pull additional cables, right?
Metal conduit.
Conduit, baby.
Make lines through and ground it for shielding purposes.
Because it may be 10 years from now, we'll all say, oh, I wish I'd put glass in, fiber.
No fiber in my neighborhood.
Well, but it doesn't matter if it's in your neighborhood, because really your internet bandwidth is not what you're talking about here. If it were merely internet bandwidth, Cat 5 would be fine, because 100 megabits per second, come on, that's plenty. But the reason you do it is for speed transporting files in the house. In other words, that way, now you could have a media, I don't think you're ever going to need 6, but you could have a media server, and you could transmit the video all over the place. And how big is the house?
Not that big, but the property's spread out over several lots, and we were planning on remote runs to patios and things like that. So
Scooter X is saying, and I think this is about right, Cat 5e is 30% more than Cat 5 cable. Cat 6 is 30% more than that.
Okay.
Six goes farther, which is a good reason, because it's better shielded. Of course, you're putting it in a metal conduit, so that's going to be shielding in and of itself. I think most of the time now people are truthfully using Wi-Fi and getting Wi-Fi speeds keep going up. You're right. There is nothing like a hardwired network, and it really is awesome. And if you've got the money, Cat 6 should be enough to last you for probably 20, 30 years. But, we always say that. Remember when we said 640 megabytes of data of RAM would be plenty? Kilobytes, we said, actually.
So neighbors on both sides of me running wireless security cameras. Interference, and would Cat 6 help shield me from that?
Yes, absolutely. Well, you won't get interference on the Ethernet, but you would get interference with your Wi-Fi, so that's a good point. Now, are you? Do you have cable into the house?
There's cable in the neighborhood.
So you're going to have fast enough internet. I mean, cable now is 100 to 150 megabits in many cases, and upgrading all the time as they get pressure from people like Verizon Fios and Google's Gigabit Fios, whatever they call it, fiber.
Networking protocols. Who's going to emerge as the winner?
Don't worry about that. Are you worried about that? IP is the winner. IP is the winner, and Ethernet. And I think that's done. I think we're done.
So Zigbee versus Z-Wave.
Oh, you're talking home automation.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's a really big horse race. Because you don't just have Zigbee and Z-Wave and X10. These are the long-time incumbents. You've got Google, Microsoft, and Apple all throwing their hats into the ring. And are they going to use a standard like Zigbee or Z-Wave? No, they're going to do their own thing. So everybody, we are not going to see a winner for some time, if ever. The best way to handle this probably is do you use Macs? Are you an Apple house?
We're a PC house.
Okay, so if you were, kind of like used iPhones and Macintoshes, I'd say, well, just assume that Apple's going to do something that will probably be good with HomeKit. It will be highly proprietary, though, so you'll be buying into the Apple ecosystem. You haven't bought into the Apple ecosystem, so that means, you have the option to look at what Google's doing. Google's got some interesting stuff coming along, including, they call it Weave, Thread, and Brillo.
Mm-hmm.
And these are very interesting. They're different, layers of home automation protocols, but very interesting. I mean, Google has basically, by announcing these, announced its interest in this. However, they've done nothing to really make it happen. And I feel like Nest is foundering. I think their one big play in this is Nest. Remember, they bought the Nest thermostats. Nest then made smoke alarms, and they got in trouble because it turned out you could disable the smoke alarms by waving at them, so they had to recall them. And then last week, the Nest thermostat had a firmware update that caused many people's thermostats to stop working in the dead of winter. And that was quite embarrassing. So I think Nest is struggling a little bit. So Google's ambitions in home automation may be thwarted. There's Samsung. Of course, they bought SmartThings. And the nice thing about SmartThings, it works with Zigbee and Z-Wave.
So that looks like...
Well, but it doesn't work with all Zigbee and Z-Wave.
The shakeout?
I think the SmartThings play is interesting. We should mention they have been a sponsor in the past of some of our shows. I think the SmartThings play is interesting because Amazon has now started working with SmartThings, with their Echo. And really, what I think, the smart home is only the smart home when you can talk to it. That's what I think everybody really says. Look, I should be able to say, good morning, the appropriate lights should turn on, the appropriate coffee should start brewing, all of the things that we want to have happen should happen. I should say, house, lock up for the night, and it will close. Make sure the garage doors are closed, the doors are locked, the lights are off, the external alarms are on, whatever it is. That should all be something I could just speak to the house. And Amazon's Echo platform is turning out to be a real dark horse. But this is a horse race, a big horse race, and there is no obvious winner at this point. You're thinking about doing home automation, huh?
Absolutely. And here's my next question. Being out in the boondocks, I've got, wild critters of different sorts, but my big concern is rattlesnakes.
Holy cow.
I don't want to step on one.
Holy
I was
cow.
looking for a lighting system that would sense Bluetooth in my Galaxy S5 and turn on the lights on the stairs as I walk up to the door.
Yeah, there are such lighting systems. In fact, that is one of the most interesting things that's happening is presence detection. For instance, the new Tesla X, when you walk up to it, sees your Bluetooth and opens the driver door for you. If you turn this on. This is a feature Tesla just pushed out. That it will open the door as you get closer. And of course, the same thing with Schlage locks, quick-set locks. These are Bluetooth-enabled locks. I think there are problems associated with this because security issues come to mind. But for rattlesnake detection and lights turning on, I think that's safe. I'm not sure I would yet trust it to unlock the doors, but sure, that's totally doable, and there are a number of ways to do that. It is really unknown at this point who's going to win. I just don't know. It's really tough, but you're now told me basically wireless is going to be big for you.
Yes.
So so even if you're putting conduit in the wall and cabling, you're also going to want a good Wi-Fi setup. I wish I had better answers for you. It's very much up in the air. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah. I've seen that picture. We do have a pre-record with Chris Marquart, which we will be playing today. So.
Yes. Won't all those different systems have apps?
Well,
Right? So
yes.
Your phone, you have all the, but they're
Your phone,
different apps.
but they're different apps.
And they're probably not going to be on the Apple TV. Or,
Yeah. I mean, so Apple's solution will end up being proprietary almost certainly, right? That's the way Apple is. Google's solution will end up being somewhat more open. SmartThings, Samsung will have to be a little more open because they're not a dominant player. I just don't know. I don't think there's any obvious.
Because I got the Hue lights, right? And that's just a separate app. On
Right.
the phone.
But you can control those with your Echo. So I think the really interesting dark horse here is Amazon. I think Amazon because they don't make any of these, but they do sell all of them, has kind of an incentive if they can get the Echo platform to work with all of these. Yes, I think that's what you're going to want.
Voice control.
Voice control. I mean, really, you want voice control. You don't want to have to take out your phone, find the app, unlock it. Then there's a whole bunch of different things you have to do. You want to say house good night, and that triggers a bunch of stuff. That's why now you understand why if this then that is free and no there's a lot to go happening here.
We will play it. I think, Leo, that we'll push the Chris Marquart button and you just take an extended break. You don't need to start it.
I don't need to do anything in it, do I? I just go, right? All right. So 12:30, I will disappear and have lunch.
Don't tell them that. No, at 12:30,
I will change my shirt. And the clock, we're going to change the clock and the shirt. Yeah, so I'll show you what's in my purse here. One of the reasons I carry this, well, the first reason was the keys, right? So this is nice because it has, I got a kind of butch keychain, and it hooks onto the purse so I can't lose the keys in. But look, the keys are in this bag. And this is important. This is what we were talking about with keyless entry. This is a Faraday cage, basically. It's a bag with a copper fiber in the copper mesh or some sort of metallic mesh in the fabric, and you have to seal it. That's the only problem with this. You have to really seal it. Fortunately, it has all these Velcro. This is from Scotty Vest. They call it what do they call it? I can't remember. But it has all these nice little Velcro dingies, so you can just kind of seal it like that. But you have to make sure you have a seal or it'll leak out. I'm not going to show you my keys because there's now a hack that people can take pictures of keys. But this is the danger part, is the fob. So that's what really needs to be in there. So the keys I have, well, there's a master key to this building. There's a key to my house. There's a key to the file cabinet with a petty cache. There's a key. What are they?
That's the one key I don't have.
A lot of people do, unfortunately. There is. It's a heavy.
Do you have a key to the cage, the equipment cage?
No, you have the key to the equipment cage, but I have the master key, which I think opens.
The cage is a padlock.
Oh, it doesn't open the cage then. I have a key to. I probably have some. I have one key I couldn't figure out what it is. I should take it off. So yeah.
You're saying your keys caused sciatica?
Put that in your pocket. Yeah, people get sciatica from sitting on a wallet. That was in my pocket, rubbing against my thigh.
Wow.
Yeah. This is also useful if somebody tries to steal my purse. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. I'll tell you speaking of home automation, one of the topics that is going to come up a lot this year and in the years to come are security issues with these wired products. This is going to become a big story because most of these products, and I'll give you an example, and they're a sponsor, the Ring Video Doorbell. We've talked about them before. I love it. We have it at the house. It is a doorbell that connects to your Wi-Fi. And that way you can get, people ringing your doorbell on your phone when you're at work, and you can even talk to them and see them because there's a camera and a microphone and a speaker. It was discovered by security researchers, I think 3 weeks ago, and he told Ring immediately, before he told the public, that if you took somebody's Ring Video Doorbell off, you actually have to take it off, and connected it to USB, you would be able to, using some hacking tools, steal the Wi-Fi login and password for that house. So the attack would be something like, you take it off in the middle of the night, you steal the password, you put it back on, obviously, you don't want people to know it. And from then on, you can log on to their Wi-Fi, and if you're a bad guy, presumably do other bad things at that point. And this is exactly the problem with a lot of Internet of Things devices. They're logged into your Wi-Fi. They need to be secure because otherwise they're an entryway into your network. Now, in this case, Ring responded very quickly. It turns out, I didn't even know this, that the doorbell has an auto-update feature. It checks daily to see if there's firmware updates. And in this case, Ring was able to push out an update immediately, and every Ring Video Doorbell has been patched. In fact, was patched 2 weeks ago before it became public knowledge. So that's the ideal situation, But it's not the only situation, because we also mentioned the Nest thermostat. And in this case, Nest had pushed a firmware update out to this thermostat. The thermostat sits where your regular thermostat is, but it's connected to your Wi-Fi. It checks the weather. It knows when people are home and when they're not. It remembers settings. It's a learning thermostat. I had one in my previous house and didn't bother to install it in the new house. I don't know why. I just feel like it did. I was like, no big deal. I just, I already had thermostats. I wasn't going to take it off and put the Nest on. I'm glad I didn't. My friend Nick Bilton, who writes about technology for the New York Times, says he has a newborn. 4 a.m. He wakes up, the baby's crying. He also has a Nest thermostat. The house was freezing because Nest had pushed out a firmware update, automatic, you don't have to do anything, that broke the thermostat. And all of a sudden, it's not working. There's no heat. And his baby's crying. And now he lives in Los Angeles, but imagine if he lived in Wisconsin or somewhere where it's really cold, or maybe worse, you have a Nest thermostat in your vacation home in the mountains, and your pipes freeze. There was a fix. Nest put out a fix, but it required physically going to your thermostat, taking it off the wall, plugging it into a USB cable, pushing some buttons, doing some things, resetting it, putting it back on the wall. Nick Bilton said most of his friends fixed it by going to the hardware store and buying a $25 dumb thermostat that it turns on when it's cold. Oh, wow. What a concept. What a concept. So you see that I think this is the beginning. We're going to, over the next few years, we're going to hear a lot about hackers trying to get into your house through your Internet of Things devices, your home automation. At CES, Samsung announced a refrigerator that has a camera inside so you can see if there's milk left. Well, how does it work? It attaches to your Wi-Fi. So all of these devices, if they're not fully secure, and up to now people haven't paid that much attention to security in these kinds of things, they're vulnerable, and that means your whole network, your whole home is vulnerable. So something to be paying attention to, and we will. We will. John in Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, John. Hello, John. No, not you, John. That's my studio manager answering. I'll put John on hold if I can figure out how to do it. Yes, I did. And maybe you can check Kim to see if he's alive. Joanne in Temecula, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Joanne.
Oh, hi, Leo. Thank you for taking my call. My question was this WinZip driver update program. You've probably answered it before. Is this something I should download, or I actually did already? Now I can't seem to get it out of my computer.
Okay, a couple of things.
I have a vast virus program, and I run the scans, and it doesn't detect any problems.
Okay, a couple of things to say. First of all, WinZip is a legitimate program from a company called PKZip. However, if you didn't get it from that company, which, by the way, is now owned by Corel, if you didn't get it from WinZip.com, you may not have the real WinZip. In most cases, you don't really need WinZip. WinZip's designed to uncompress .zip files, which you often download from the internet. And Windows 10 can do that automatically without any help from WinZip. But it's fine to download it and use it. It's not a bad program. But it sounds like you have something called WinZip that you think is a virus.
Perhaps, yes.
Why do you think that?
Well, it was one of those things where they pop up and it tells you they ran a scan and they find things, and then they want you to purchase something.
Yeah, well, that's bad.
I mean, maybe that's normal.
No, that's not normal. There are things that there are viruses that have co-opted the good and honorable name of WinZip. So it is possible you have a virus. And certainly if something pops up and says you need to get your computer fixed, why do you associate that with WinZip? Does it say the name WinZip in the pop-up?
Yeah, I mean, it came up WinZip, and, I think it was a few days ago, I thought, well, I need to have something that updates my drivers or whatever, and so I went ahead and... But I didn't purchase anything.
Doesn't matter. So here's the problem. If you download... By the way, you can download WinZip, the good thing, from a PKZip site not from winzip.com, but from, let's say, CNET's download.com or other download aggregating sites. And in the process, if you're not very careful, you can also download additional stuff that is maybe not malware, but is definitely adware. You can also download, if you didn't actually go out and say, I know I need this file, and I'm going to go get it. Then don't accept download offers from strangers.
Right.
Because even if you didn't pay for it, it can be malware. And you will pay for malware, believe me, in other ways. So you have an antivirus, and I think part of the problem is that, and one of the reasons I don't actually recommend antivirus is it gives you a false sense of security. Well, I have an antivirus, so I'm okay, and I'll just do whatever I want. The antiviruses are not. They're the second or third line of defense. They're the belt when you're wearing suspenders. And they won't protect you against yourself. So if you say, yes, I want this malware, an antivirus is going to say, well, she said she wanted it. So I'm not sure what's happened to you. This is part of the problem. I can't tell what's happened from remote control, what's happened to you. But it doesn't sound good because, A, those pop-ups, those aren't good. They're harmless unless you accept a download or, call the 800 number and let them get on your computer. But my concern now is that you do have malware in your system. And removing it is not for the faint of heart, nor for the weak of skills. Frankly, the best thing to do is to reinstall Windows. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I don't know what's exactly happened. Hold on just a second so we can talk some more. Are you in the position, are you the person at your business that does the hiring? Maybe you're the owner and sole chief cook and bottle washer. Maybe you're the HR person. But you know that hiring is so important in creating a company. A company is just the people in it. That's what the company is. And hiring the right people can make or, I'm sad to say, break your company. That's why it's important that you pay attention to recruiting, and yet, especially with a small shop or a one-person shop, it's the one time you don't have the time. You need to fill this position. I want to recommend something we use and love, ZipRecruiter.com. Whether you're, by the way, notice they also encourage people to post at ZipRecruiter. But one of the great things about ZipRecruiter is you post once and it goes to 100 plus job boards, including all the social networks, with a single click. That means you're going to reach the most possible candidates. And that's important. You want to reach, because that one person might be the one person using that one obscure job site, and you didn't know that. So get to as many people as you can with ZipRecruiter.com. One of the things that happens with ZipRecruiter is that, as you saw, they also have many people who post to ZipRecruiter, more than 6 million current resumes. So immediately your opening is matched against those. Within 24 hours, you're going to start getting applicants pouring in. Now, you may say, well, that's not what I want. I don't want my phone to be tied up, my inbox to be jammed, stuffed with applicants. No, this is the beauty part. It doesn't go to your phone or your inbox. It goes to the ZipRecruiter interface where you can quickly screen and rate and hire the right candidate fast. Post once. Within 24 hours, your candidate's rolling in. No wonder 400,000 businesses have already used ZipRecruiter, including ours. We got an email from Scott, a happy ZipRecruiter client. He said, the recruiting process used to be so painful. Before, I'd post to several places. I'd get 1 million resumes, but only a few responses from qualified candidates. It was torture. But with ZipRecruiter, we post once. We get qualified candidates in one easy-to-review place. And this is the most important part. Underscore this. We've hired some of our best employees using ZipRecruiter. This is what you need. Hire the right one and do it fast. Make it easy. By the way, they have great onboarding tools and HR tools as well. Try it free at ZipRecruiter.com/techguy. ZipRecruiter.com/techguy. And you get 4 days free. And I tell you what, this is such a great resource if you're doing the hiring. Even just the help stuff they have here is fantastic. Case studies. ZipRecruiter.com/techguy. So Let me try to get some clarification. We're off the air now.
Okay.
Let me just try to get some clarification from you, Joanne. So you downloaded something, you thought you needed it.
I think I downloaded it, and then I thought I uninstalled it, but...
Well, if it's a virus, uninstalling it doesn't do anything.
Doesn't help. Okay. I ran my malware.
What prompted you to do it? Did you get a pop-up?
Yeah, I got a a little window saying that my drivers were out of date and that, this program would update my drivers. And it says run the scan now to tell you what drivers were out of date, and it comes up with probably 25 of these.
Yeah, that's a scam.
Okay, well, I didn't purchase anything.
Doesn't matter because you downloaded something. See, what they're trying to do is get you to download something. This is a bad guy to get on your system. There's really only 2 or 3 ways to do it. One is to trick you into running a program, which they've done. Because they need to run a program, or they need to somehow get through a computer that hasn't been updated and their vulnerabilities as a result. And sometimes they can do that, which means you won't even know it's happened. But in this case, they tricked you. The only time you will need to get driver updates is if Windows itself, in its update process, does it, and it'll do it for you automatically. So you will not get a pop-up saying you need driver updates. How old is the computer?
Oh gosh, it's probably 5 years old now.
And you're running Windows
10.
10.
Yeah, and I do go to the programs and the drivers, and I do click on those, and I'll occasionally I'll say look for updates, and it'll say it's got the current update.
Yeah, there's some things, for instance, Flash, you should always keep up to date. The browser should be kept up to date. More and more, though, programs are doing this automatically. Flash does it. Internet Explorer, Windows, Chrome, Firefox, they'll all do that automatically. But this thing that you got is worrisome because I don't know of a program, unless it comes from the manufacturer, that will say, hey, your drivers are out of date. Let me scan your computer. It finds 20 things. That's usually a scare tactic employed by scareware. Let me scan these 20 things. Oh, and then please download and run this program, which you did, right?
That's debatable. I don't know whether I did. I looked in my programs and features, and I did see it in there, and I uninstalled it.
Okay.
And
what was the name of the program? WinZip?
WinZip, yeah, WinZip driver, WinZip driver updates, something. So, and I've gone, to Google and looked that up, and it tells you how to.
Okay. This is a legitimate program. From a company called, I think, a legitimate. Let me look. I'm looking at it. Yeah. I wish they hadn't used the word WinZip because, maybe it's the same.
I thought it was a Microsoft thing.
No, it's not. It's not. This is, but it is a program. Somebody might have put it on your system. Somebody must have, or you wouldn't have gotten the first notice in the first place. Our outdated drivers. So this is, you don't need this, and it's good you uninstalled it. You may be okay. Does Avast report any viruses at this point?
No.
Okay.
And neither does my malware thing.
Okay.
Avast is giving me Avast just says everything's good. It says you are protected, anti-spam is active, firewall is active, and everything is up to date.
Okay, good. I think you're all right. You could go, there are various online antivirus scanners you could go to get a second opinion if you wanted to do that. But
I'm happy with your opinion.
I think, well, I can't see, the only way I could give you a valuable opinion is if I could actually touch your computer and look at it. But this is a legitimate, not recommended, but legitimate program. It's not malware. If Avast is not reporting malware, and you're keeping Avast up to date, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think you're probably all right.
I mean, I don't have the Premier.
No. In fact, you don't really need it because Windows has its own antivirus. Windows 10 comes with its own antivirus called Defender. So you really are running two. In fact, you probably don't really need the Avast on there. It might not even be a good idea to have it. Windows 10 comes with an antivirus. That's
Well,
fine.
maybe when it's time to renew or something.
Yeah, then uninstall it.
Yeah.
I think you're okay. I think you're okay. I think that what you had either came with the computer or somebody. Do you have a benevolent geek in the family that helps you from time to time?
No, gosh, no. No.
Because sometimes they're not so, they go, oh, you really need this, and they put something on there like this. So maybe you saw an ad for it or you saw a pop-up for it and you downloaded it.
Yeah, no, I try not to do too many of those, things that, get me in trouble.
Good. Yeah, really, the rule, especially with Windows 10, because Microsoft's done a very good job with Windows 10, is you don't need to install any of this protection or cleanup. Those are all generally, they're not scams exactly. They're just not, they're not something you really need.
Is it the same thing? It seems like I got a notice saying that I didn't have enough space left or I was running out of space.
Well, that might be real. In fact, that's probably coming from Windows. So you should look and you can see if you look at my computer, you can see how much drive space is left. If you're down to a few gigabytes, you probably do need to delete some old stuff. Empty your recycle bin, things like that.
Oh, I do that constantly.
Okay.
I got my history.
Good.
Everything.
I think you're all right.
I think I do.
What we need, the real problem is people. If you're going to run Windows and you're not a geek yourself, you need to find a tame geek.
Yeah.
Because you need somebody who will kind of that you can really trust. And the problem is they're also kind of half smart people who really can get you in more trouble than non-smart. A dumb person just goes, I don't know. And that's probably better than, I think I know. But if, and I just don't know if there is somewhere in Temecula, I bet there is a small little PC shop with somebody who seems pretty knowledgeable.
Oh, yeah, there is. Yeah.
If you wanted to, don't let them upsell you.
Take it in there and they can kind of.
Yeah, don't let them upsell you. Just say, hey, I'm a little worried. I installed this thing. I've uninstalled it, but can you just make sure? And then could you also check to see if I'm running out of space? One thing he could do is sell you for under $100, don't spend more than that, a new hard drive and transfer your old data over.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you are running out of space, you need to address that. You want to get a new hard drive, but hard drives are cheap now.
Okay.
And you can get a bigger, faster hard drive in there. And then next time, do you need Windows or do you just surf, do email, the normal things people do?
That's it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, next time don't get a Windows machine.
You want me to get Apple?
Get a Chromebook.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Cheaper, more secure. They don't run into these issues.
Is that the little? Is it smaller?
You can get all sizes. They have Chromebooks they have a It's called a what's it called? It's like a iMac. It's this 21-inch screen, and they're less expensive. They're laptops, they're desktops, but the thing is, they're much more secure, and they do all the things that you want to do, which is surf, get your email. Things like that. Pictures, and they keep you out of trouble because you can't even install this stuff on there.
Okay, Chromebook. All right.
Just next time.
All right. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for
All
calling.
right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Chromebase, that's the one. Hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. I spent a little more time after we took a break with the caller just to reassure her. Sounds like she's okay. But the rule of thumb is don't download software from strangers, and don't install software you're not really sure about. Even if it says, oh, you need this, you probably don't need it. And she did the right thing. She uninstalled it. Her antivirus says she's clean. I suggested if she has a local geek she trusts, that she might get a second opinion from them. But I think you're probably all right. It's tough. It's tough. And one of the reasons again and again I'm starting to inveigh against people buying these general purpose computers is because she, in her case, she was just surfing, getting email. There's no reason she had to become a security expert. She just get a Chromebook or a Chromebase, one of those Google Chrome OS computers, much simpler, much more secure. The problem is these general purpose computers we've been buying for years are really much more complex, much more difficult to secure. They're really a bigger issue than they need to be because you don't need all that unless you're maybe you're designing autos or launching rockets, editing major motion pictures. Okay, then you might need a PC, playing games, and you know who you are. But if you're that kind of person, you're also, the burden is upon you to also become kind of a computer expert. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. John in Los Angeles. We got him now. Hi, John.
Hey, Leo, long-time listener of your show.
Thank you for
Leo,
calling.
I've got a MacBook Air 2012 and the last version of the PowerBook with the 17-inch screen, and I'm running Mountain Lion on one of them, and I'm not sure if that's the last OS on the 17-inch, and I'm just curious about updating to El Capitan because on my iPhones and iPads, I've updated to the latest OS, and it ruins them and slows them down.
iOS isn't supposed to, but I have to say sometimes you can install iOS on hardware, older hardware, and it doesn't feel like it's improved things. Desktop's a little different. If Apple lets you put El Capitan, which is El Capitan is the current version. I know some friends of mine, some tech journalists call it the Captain. If the Captain will install, and it will on a 2012 MacBook Air for sure. I'm not sure about the 17-inch. That's older. But if it'll install, I would do it. It's more reliable. It's speedier. It's not going to slow it down in the same way iOS updates have been problematic.
Okay.
So it's safe to do so. And you know what else? It's free to do so. So, it's not going to cost you anything.
Yeah, but it was free when I downloaded it on my iPhone 4S, and I had to get rid of the 4S.
Yeah, I know. And the problem with the 4S, of course, there's no rollback in iOS. You can't go back to an older version of iOS. It's easy to go back to an older version of OS X if you're not happy with it.
Okay. Any idea why didn't Apple warn people if you update to the latest iOS, it might slow your 4S down?
They didn't feel that was a problem. And for many users, it wasn't. So I am not sure, and I think Apple's not sure, why some users did report massive slowdowns with iOS 9 on the iPhone 4S.
I saw that somebody just sued on that, right? You saw that?
Yeah, and I think the suit was thrown out. I think the problem is, if you did a complete clean install, if you could, but you can't, if you could wipe the phone and put a new fresh version of iOS 9 on it, probably be okay. But I just don't know. And I don't think Apple knows. I believe that they would not, and they do forbid iOS updates on some older versions of the iPhone and the iPad. But so they tell you it's 4S and later. But I know so many people in their chat room. This comes up all the time. I'm running iOS 9 on my 4S. It runs great. So I'm not sure why some people had that problem.
There's one last quick question.
Sure, John.
So I've got a 256 gigabyte of RAM on my MacBook Air, and I've got like 200.
No, wait a minute. That's your hard drive, not your RAM.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the hard drive is.
Wow, you spent some money. Okay, 256 gig hard drive. Okay.
256 hard drive, and I'm maybe at 230 gigs used up.
Oh.
What's the maximum that you can do before you get into trouble in terms of using too much?
Yeah. I mean, I like to have probably 5 gigs, absolute minimum 5 gigs free on a hard drive.
I've got like 25 free, but...
Yeah, I think you're all right. But you're going to start to, the problem is there's scratch space and there's temp files and things like that. 25's fine. 25's a lot. Remember, we used to buy computers with 2 gigs total?
What would be the solution if I wanted to transfer, say, 50 or 100 gigs off of it?
It's very easy on Apple because, first of all, you have ports. Probably, I don't know on the 17, but on the 2012 MacBook, you have high-speed ports, Thunderbolt ports, that you could put an external hard drive on that would be as fast as an internal hard drive. You also, it's not hard. If you go to macsales.com, that's Other World Computing, they sell upgrade hard drives. You could put a bigger hard drive in there. In some cases, you can replace, if you have an optical disk, you might on that 17, you can replace the optical disk with a second hard drive. But external hard drives on Macintoshes work fine, and you can have all your data over there, and it'll work fine. And putting an SSD in that computer, if it doesn't have one, will speed it up remarkably.
No, it has an SSD.
Yeah, 256 sounds like an SSD. Yeah, and then deleting stuff. People have, we've gotten fat and happy. I very well remember when you had 2 gigabytes total on a computer. Now we say, I've run out of room with 200. I have only 25 gigs left. I have 220 gigs used. I wonder what's in those 220 gigs. I bet there's stuff you don't need. Don't you think? Our hard drives are like our closets. We probably could do with some tidying up. Maybe get some garbage bags, throw out some of that stuff. There's a very nice program for Macintosh. It's free. It's called Disk Inventory X. That'll show you graphically where the big blobs of stuff are. And you may find that some of those big blobs really are just unnecessary. Kenny is on the line from Temple, Texas. Hi, Kenny. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. I had a question about the iPhone 6s. I wanted to know if it was harmful to use one of those external batteries all the time.
No, not at all. Apple even sells one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Apple just started selling an iPhone 6S external battery. You need it on the 6 and 6S because it's a nice, tiny phone. I like the size, but the battery's tiny too. And if you're not getting through the day, I use a Mophie case. Love them. Apple now sells a case too. The way these work in general is when you charge it, you're charging both the external battery and your iPhone. And on the Mophie cases, you have a switch when you want to switch to battery. In general, I'll give you the rule of thumb. This is a good thing to know, Kenny. On lithium-ion batteries, keep them charging. It's always better. The battery will last longer if you keep it charging than if you charge, drain, charge, drain, charge, drain. And what you really don't want to do, and what you really don't want to do on a lithium-ion battery is fully drain it. That's not good. That's when you might see some degradation in performance. All lithium-ion batteries have a number of cycles. That's full charge and discharge. That's one cycle that they can do. Most of them, the ones in your laptops, probably in your phones too, about 500 cycles. That's about, 2 years, right? Fully charged, fully discharged. And if you do half and recharge, that counts as half. A quarter, it counts as a quarter, and it adds up to 500 full charge and discharge cycles. In general, I've been told by battery experts, the best thing to do is keep your laptop or iPhone plugged in. Don't let it discharge because that'll use some of that charge-discharge cycle. And there's no need to fully discharge. In fact, that's a bad thing. The battery conditioners that do that, don't do it. And if you're going to store it about half charged. That's all you need to know for lithium-ion. They're pretty easy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Not so twisted, mister. It's a very common misconception. Keep it plugged in all the time. A lot of companies even tell you the wrong thing. 50%. Oh, how low should you drain before charging? As little as possible. Because remember, it all counts against your total number of full drain charges. It does. When it's plugged in, they micro discharge charge, but it's small amounts, right? That's right. Crucial Wax is right. If you're going to store it, roughly half full, if you're not going to use it, what you don't want to do is deplete fully. That is the only bad thing you can do to lithium-ion is to just, but it's hard to do, but you really drain it fully is not good. Right, and Art Chandra is right, is that a well-designed battery, a well-designed computer will not allow you to fully discharge it. They'll protect it. So in most cases, you can't. Yeah, don't put a nail through it. That is also a bad idea. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. I don't know if you've noticed. I actually really love talking about tech. I do.
No, really?
I really do. I'm happy
I would not have guessed.
as a clam in a chowder. Well, that's probably not very happy. But I know it's fun because this is a fascinating subject. There's infinite variation. It's nobody... it's one of those news beats where nobody dies. It's the worst that happens is somebody disses you on social media or something.
Or you lose a lot of pictures.
Or your hard drive crashes. Yeah. But it's such a life-changing stuff that's going on right now. We live in amazing times. I interviewed a geneticist from Stanford, Dr. Stanley Chi, yesterday. And he's working on something called CRISPR, which is a fascinating field of genetic modification. He says, I don't want to modify the gene, that's dangerous. You could make a mistake. It's like software programming, and you could introduce a bug, and if you introduce a bug in a living organism, that could be bad. But what they do with CRISPR is they try to encourage certain genetic sequences that protect you. And in the case of cancer, for instance, CRISPR offers some very interesting possibilities in terms of gene therapy, not to modify your genes, but to help your body fight cancers, to cure, in the case of diabetes, insulin resistance, or the gene that unfortunately turns off insulin in the insulin creation in the pancreas. Without modifying the gene, you can express the genes that are already there to do a better job. It's a very interesting field. We live in amazing times, and I think within our lifetime that these techniques may in fact cure cancer, cure diabetes, cure a lot of genetically based disease. 8888 asks Leo, let's go to the phones. Rick in Torrance, California. Hi, Rick.
Hey, Leo, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
I didn't think I was going to get to talk to you. I was on the phone for a half an hour, walked inside of a building and lost the connection, but your screener was good enough to put me back in line.
Good.
Okay.
I'm glad you're still on. Thank you.
We've got an iPhone that I loaned to somebody, and I'm getting it back. I'm going to wipe it and put it over on my own phone number. Problem is, they've got some texts that they want to be able to save. Is there any way to download or transfer them to somewhere else?
Yeah, there is. There's a program called eCam. Actually, I think it's the company is eCam, and they make a program called Phone View. So it's ecamm.com, and Phone View is a program that you put on your computer and will let you hook up the iPhone to it, and you can copy over. It's $30, but you can try it for free to make sure it'll work. It does require a Mac.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll let you copy over SMS messages, iMessage, WhatsApp messages, voicemails, call history, all of that stuff.
Perfect.
So you can save it out to them, give them a disk or a thumb drive, and they're done.
Okay, sounds great. eCam, and it's Phone View.
Phone View from ECAMM.
Okay.
.com.
I appreciate that, Leo.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for calling. Al in San Bernardino. Hello, Al. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. I have an HP Pavilion laptop, and it came loaded with Windows Vista.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if you spoke about this, but is Windows going to be phased out? It's not going to be supported anymore?
Windows Vista, you mean?
Yeah, Windows Vista.
Yeah, every version of Windows has a lifespan. And XP last year reached its end of support life.
Yeah.
So Vista, let me just look it up, because Microsoft has a table that will tell you how long it's going to continue support. There's two levels of support in life cycle. There's we're going to continue to support it with patches and fixes, and you can call and have that's called mainstream support.
Okay.
And then there's extended support. That's the one you care about. When extended support ends, that means even if there's a bug, we're not going to fix it anymore.
Yeah.
So April 8th, 2014, that's when XP died. The day the music died. Windows Vista, you've got another year. A little more than a year. April 11th, 2017 will be the end of extended support. At that point, you probably should upgrade.
To?
Well, any newer version, because Windows 7 goes to 2020, Windows 8 goes to 2023, the current version of Windows goes to 2025. It's generally a 10-year life cycle.
Okay.
And you have to understand why they do that. They can't, after 10 years, they don't want to devote a lot of resources to keeping something going. They hope you'll update by then.
So Windows 7 to
2020, that'll get you going. And 7 is great. Actually, most people agreed that Vista was kind of a flop and that Windows 7 fixed its issues. I think you'd like Windows 7 a lot. Just in the same way that Windows 8 was kind of a flop and Windows 10 fixed its issues. Just as Windows ME was kind of a flop, but Windows XP fixed its issues. Seems like every other version of Windows is bad and every other version of Windows is good. I don't know why that is.
Well,
but I think why you want to keep using Windows Vista because it works, right?
I'm happy with it. Yeah.
No reason not to. You got another year. I'll have to say this: Windows XP, which did run its end of life, kind of amazing now, a year and a half ago. We've had no serious flaws in that. People who have been continuing to run it have not seen serious issues. The biggest issue with Windows XP was that Internet Explorer was no longer getting updated. And the most recent version you could use was IE8. But that was solved because you could use other versions, other browsers. So we recommended, if people are going to continue to use XP, to move to Chrome. Now, unfortunately, Google has stopped, or is about to stop, I'm not sure when this will happen, supporting Chrome on XP. So eventually, even the third-party vendors say, hey, it's old, it's in the way, time to move on. Generally, you do want to move on because the newer operating system will be more secure, offer new features. Most importantly, if you get any new software, it may well expect that newer operating system. Windows Vista is going to run exactly as well as Windows Vista ever ran as long as you don't use new software. As soon as you start using software from 2016, you may run into problems. And by the way, that software doesn't just mean stuff you download and run on your computer. That also means websites you visit, because really, nowadays, many websites aren't static text. They're software, running software over the internet. So that's really what happens, is pretty soon your browsing becomes untenable. You can't visit sites anymore. And security becomes a big issue. So I understand why every company does this with operating systems eventually. You just can't continue to support them. It's one reason open source operating systems last longer, because they're supported not by companies but by individuals who use it. So when you talk about Linux, as long as people continue to use a particular version of Linux, it will continue to get supported by those people. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. Oh, Chris Marquart coming up. Let's talk about meditating. Do you meditate? Our sponsor for the show is a company called Headspace. The guy who does this is so great. Andy Puttycombe is his name. He's a British guy, a wonderful accent. But he was a monk for many years, 10 years. But he also has really done, I think, a lot to bring the calm, centered value of meditation to everybody with this app. It's free, headspace.com. And you can use it to do their Take 10 program, which is 10 days of meditation to really get a sense of what this could do for you, and then decide if it's right for you. But I really think it's amazing. I've been doing this since July. So phenomenal. And Andy you want to have Andy in your ears. Let me play a little bit of Andy Puttycombe. Maybe you've seen his TED Talk. I think something like 5 million views. He's got this great...
Say hello to Headspace. Think of it like a gym membership for the mind. Using proven meditation and mindfulness techniques, we'll show you how to train your mind for a healthier, happier,
That's Andy,
more enjoyable life.
They've made it so fun. Of course, meditation is rooted in a tradition that goes back thousands of years, but modern scientific studies also show absolutely positive effects, improving focus, relationship harmony, and decreasing stress. That's really what I use meditation for. Just get the stress out of your life with just a few minutes a day. On your phone, you can use it on your tablet, you can use it on your computer, headspace.com. Once you have your account, you can use it anywhere, and it remembers where you are, pick up where you left off. 10 days free, their Take 10 program at headspace.com/techguy. I am Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That guy there, that guy is Chris Marquart, the photo guy. Joins us every week to talk about photography, which is it's kind of one of my hobbies, but it's also one of the things that technology has completely transformed. Digital photography has made photography accessible to everybody now.
There's way more photos,
aren't there,
out there? I think within a year there are now way more photos than in the entire history of photography.
Previously,
before.
yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing, and now everyone has at least one camera.
Yeah, in your pocket almost all the time because of your smartphone, right?
It's there. It's there, and it's around. And
the smartphones are pretty darn good cameras, by the way. Nowadays they're as good as the point and shoots from a few years ago.
I mean, look at Apple. Apple is the world's biggest camera manufacturer now.
Yeah.
There's no competition
Well, on
at this
Flickr
point when it comes to the sheer numbers.
For last year at Flickr, by a large margin.
Oh yeah, I seen the graphic. The line going straight up. Yep.
More iPhone photos than any other camera, including Samsung Galaxy S's and so forth. So, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, today I want to go a bit away from technology. The thing I want to talk about is color blindness. And the reason is I had a participant on one of my workshops who's colorblind. And that really got me to think about how do you do photography? Do you have full vision?
I am not colorblind, but it is very common, especially among men.
It's interesting. There are different ways you can be colorblind. Well, first of all, the eye works similar to a camera sensor. And the camera sensor, you typically have red, green, and blue pixels, or pixels that see red, green, and blue light. In your eye, you have two kinds of cells: the rods that are more for when it's dark, that are more in low light, and then the cones that give you color vision. And there are 3 different kinds of cones in general that give you, again, kind of a red, green, and blue representation of the picture, and your brain meshes it together into a color picture. So the reason, and I'm not a doctor, but from what I know, the reason that people are colorblind is that, just not all cones are made equal in all people. They're not all the same. So some people might have a bit of a deficiency in one cone and one type of cones, and a bit of an overproduction in a few others. And the color blindness can be kind of different kind of ways. There's a blue-yellow one that is almost non-existent. I mean, most people don't have that. There is the real color blindness called monochromacy, I think, which is fairly rare. But the one that is really common is the so-called red-green blindness. And
I know lots of guys with that.
8%. Wikipedia says 8% of males have red-green color blindness. Only 0.5% of females. So it's a male thing, and it's 8% of...
So ladies, next time you mock us for not knowing the difference between puce and magenta, it's not our fault.
No, it's not.
It's not our fault.
Now, interestingly enough, if you look at the demographic who is into photography, there's quite a big overlap, because photography is mostly male. There are a lot more men into photography. Well, especially now into photography, when you look at the cameras with, I think they cater to men.
Yeah, because it's a geeky kind of techie thing these days.
It's a very geeky kind of thing. And that means there are a lot of photographers who are colorblind. And I just remember this.
Should they be shooting black and white?
Well, there are a few strategies to deal with that. Okay. So going black and white, absolutely, that will solve your problem.
Right.
It will also limit you, of course. Right. But yes, of course, to go in black and white is a viable solution. So that might be one of the reasons that you want to do that. Getting the colors right isn't that hard, though, especially when you kind of know the technique of using something. Well, first of all, is the technique of setting the white balance. If you set a proper white balance for the light situation in your camera, you will already be almost there. So on a sunny day, set the white balance to the little sun. On an overcast day, set the white balance to the little cloud. Under tungsten light, set it to the little light bulb. There's those presets, and those already cover like 95% of all the situations. If you want it even more precise, learn to white balance. Learn to white balance with a gray card, with a target that you can tell the camera, look, this is neutral. I might not really be able to see it, but this is neutral. It says so on the box. Take a picture with your camera. That's called custom white balance. Another strategy to deal with color blindness is, embrace the quirkiness, If you look at some of the pictures out there just from the last, I'd say, 10 years, filters, color filters, Instagram, Hipstamatic, whatever those different apps are called, they do weird stuff to your colors, and that makes them kind of cool. So there's a pretty good chance that you might actually end up with weird colors, and that no one will actually mind, because it could as well be on purpose. Now, one more thing, and that is that has to do with software. I was wondering, how would you actually, if you have really severe case of color blindness, how would you find out what is red in my picture, what is green, what is blue in my picture? Well, look at software like Lightroom. What they do when you switch to black and white is they show you what's called a channel mixer. So you get the underlying colors. You get different sliders for red, green, blue, yellow, and when you slide them, the red, green, blue, yellow parts in the picture go brighter and darker.
Right.
So this is a really good way to find out, does that person have a red sweater or a blue sweater? Just put it in black and white mode and move the red slider, and if the sweater goes brighter and darker, oh yeah, that's a red sweater. So just as a little tip, if anyone's now interested if they are colorblind or not, there is an online, there's a website called color-blindness.com. It's made by a guy in Switzerland, and he has 4 or 5 different color blindness tests on there. I don't think they're medically sound. I mean, it's still kind of a moving target because you have a different monitor than a doctor might have, but I think it might give you a first indication if you see all the numbers on those different things, or if you can sort things into the right order. There's a lot of different interesting things on.
If you think Santa Claus is wearing a green jacket, you might be colorblind. Hey,
well,
I got some stats for you if you're interested.
Go ahead.
Yahoo published, because Yahoo runs Flickr, so they published stats on the number of photographs taken. In the last year before the digital photography explosion, which I will say is probably the year 2000, they say about 86 billion photos were taken. That seems like an awful lot. That's worldwide. 86 billion photos taken. The estimate is, now they're still counting the photos from 2015. It's going to take them a while. But the last estimate we got is from 2014, 1 trillion photographs. You're right, more than all the years past combined.
That is just crazy.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So yeah, photography is big. Now, if you want to take some more pictures, and by the way, that's a great way to become a better photographer, is to take pictures and then to put them up on a site like Flickr and ask for comments, because it's a great photographic community. Join Flickr and then join our contest, because we're inviting people to take pictures. It's no prize. It's not even a contest, really. It's just for fun. Take more pictures, whatever your camera is, whether it's a smartphone or a fancy Nikon, and upload them. Our topic this time is street. We're not going to tell you what that means. You decide if it's a picture of asphalt or a picture of somebody on the street or street photography or whatever, and upload that picture to Flickr. We have a special group there for this. It's the Tech Guy group. Yes. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. More your calls right after this. And that, my friends, is how it's done.
Strange how your shirt changed like without. I'm sitting right here and I didn't see you change. I don't.
Sudden wardrobe change. That was fun.
You got time to eat your salad.
I did. I had time, and I had got time to, which was even more fun, got to talk to Marcus.
Cool.
So our visitor today is Marcus Wolter. He is a podcaster from Germany. Is one of the things he does in the Omega Tau podcast, which you'll find at omegataupodcast.net, is science-focused, which is awesome. It's in German and English, so he does, you could see only the English episodes, or you can see both the German and the English episodes. I want to listen to this one on string theory, but this is cool. He went up on the Sophia telescope, the 747-based space telescope, and you said 10 hours of interviews up there? Wow. Cool. Oh, this looks like a great podcast. I cannot wait to listen to it. Fun. Yeah, we are building a new computer fish. We're going to build the ultimate virtual reality gaming machine, a Virgum, on the new screensavers, because it turns out I can't run my Oculus Rift on any of the 3 or 4 Windows machines I have. None of them have enough juice. So obviously we have to spend $4,000 on a new Windows machine. I tend to buy cheap Windows machines. I don't like to buy expensive Windows machines. In fact, my kid games on a old Mac Pro running Windows. So I have the Dell laptop. This actually is not cheap, but it's not powerful enough to run Oculus Rift. So we just got to build a gaming machine. There it is. The Twitch Shed. You mean the new studio? Is that what we're calling it?
So it goes from cottage to brick house to
the
shed.
It's gonna be nicer than a shed. Yeah, I think we're close. I think we're very close to signing a lease, and if we do, we'll try to extend our lease here. They're definitely turning this into a microbrewery. We've learned.
I'm torn on that. I like microbreweries,
good and bad.
but
Yeah. But if we move, it'll probably be the new studio will probably start in the fall sometime. Now is the time on the Tech Guy when we dance. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Janice on the line from Tehachapi. Hi, Janice.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm a teacher at a school district, and I called you actually a year ago, and you were very nice and gave me some good advice.
Good.
So I'm calling you again.
Thank you.
A little background. Right now, we are under Microsoft, but we're not on the cloud. Everything resides on our servers.
Under Microsoft is a good way to describe it. I see them pressing you to the ground.
Maybe. But everything is stored on our local server. However, we are currently thinking about we are in the process of going to the Microsoft cloud. So that's the way our district wants to go. We're a very small district. We have 4,500 students. But our school is thinking about getting Chromebooks.
Yay!
Well, I said yay. And I know one of the reasons is because it is approved for our state testing. We can use that to take our state test on.
They're very important.
Well,
good.
But I said, great. So then maybe we can do some Google Docs and get into that world. Oh, no, we won't be on their cloud.
Well, and this has actually recently been raised as an issue.
And that's what I wanted to know about.
Yeah. But you're in a cloud, whether you're Microsoft's cloud or Google's cloud.
Exactly.
Your student information is stored outside of the school district. And that does raise privacy concerns, understandably. I think Chromebooks are exactly right for a one-to-one program or a computer program in schools for a lot of reasons. I mean, you can't play Minecraft on them. It's a big reason. They're secure. One of the nice things about Chromebooks is if something goes wrong or they stop working, they have a setting called the power wash setting, which just wipes the whole thing off and makes it the way it was when it got there from the factory. Updates are pushed automatically, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the benefits of this is kind of the reason why your school district's considering the cloud in general is a student doesn't generally store their work on the Chromebook. They store it on the cloud, and the advantage to that is they can use any Chromebook. If they lose one, they break one, they forget one, they log into their account on another Chromebook, and all their stuff is still there.
Well, I understand that, but I don't think they do. They said, we could use some apps. I said, you mean like Google Doc or something? Oh, no, we're not going to store anything on the cloud. It's not secure.
All right, so I'm going to point you to the Electronic Frontier Foundation is the group, and a very good group, and I support them. I donate every month to them, and I believe in them. They raised this issue of and really what they were very critical because they said, Google, you've got to tell people what you're doing. But they have a page at EFF.org called The Guide to Chromebook Privacy Settings for Students that you can give your school board, you can give your teachers, you can give your school district, you can give concerned parents so that they can understand what Google does keep, what Google doesn't keep, and they can control it better. But one of the benefits of using a Chromebook, just as it's a benefit of using Microsoft with a server, a centralized server, is this idea that the student's not, everything isn't tied to one piece of hardware, that it's available to them no matter what hardware they use. And that's a huge benefit. So the issue really is learning how to control their privacy, what privacy they're giving up to. Informed consent from the parents and the school district is very important. The school district has got to understand how expensive it has been for them to run a Microsoft shop. First of all, everything costs a lot, and then some expert has to keep the server going. All of that is costly.
Right, but either way, would you say security, if we're going to go to Microsoft in the cloud, would you say security-wise and what they could put up and the control they could have for the child's protection is about the same for both of them?
Yes. I would trust Google's security maybe even marginally more than Microsoft's security. Google, the people at Google are super smart. I mean, Microsoft's super smart too. But these people grew up on the internet. Microsoft did not. And I absolutely trust that. The issue is, that some of the student stuff will be stored on the server. It will not, and in fact, the EFF filed a complaint with the FTC saying Google deceptively tracks student internet browsing. Now, I disagree with this, but I understand why the EFF wanted to raise the issue. I'll put links to both these articles in the show notes so you can read them and provide them to your school district. Google did sign the Student Privacy Pledge, which is a legally enforceable document. I'm sure Microsoft has as well. Companies promise to refrain from storing and using student information for a variety of reasons. So you should read this Student Privacy Pledge, which is at studentprivacypledge.org. Google is a signatory to this, as is, I'm sure, Microsoft. The EFF says they violated that pledge. That's up for dispute. And the FTC is, or may, I don't know if they're going to investigate or not, but they've been asked to investigate it by the EFF. These are all legitimate issues.
No, and I understand that. I just thought they were legitimate issues for both Microsoft and Google, and we should be exploring both.
No, well, there's two issues. There is, of course, this issue of how secure is your data. It's you know what? To be honest, I would far more trust Microsoft and Google's cloud than the cloud that you have in the school district office. Right? Who's running that? Who's securing that? Where's the password for that? Is it on a Post-it note on the monitor? To be honest, these are Google and Microsoft are professionals. This is what they do. They have the best people to secure it. That's not, to me, the concern. The concern of EFF is, okay, but so Google might secure it, but what are they doing with that data? Are they using it for advertising purposes? I don't think so. And I think what will happen is, and this is a very good process. I'm glad EFF filed this complaint. Google needs to respond to it. I don't know if they have. The complaint was filed a month ago. Google needs to respond to it, reassure people, give them very clear direction about what they're doing with the data. That's the concern. Not is the data, is it going to be hacked? Far more likely that your server in the school district is going to get hacked than Google or Microsoft. That's not an issue.
Okay, just one more quick question. On Google as well as Microsoft, the school should be able to set up the filters so that we can't wander off to places where we shouldn't be.
Absolutely. Google Chromebooks are the #1 selling technology for schools.
Well, don't you think it would be kind of silly, though, to only use it for testing and maybe to surf the web and not use the other stuff that's available?
Right.
It seems like you're working with one hand tied behind your back.
Yeah, no, these Chromebooks, I think, are a really good choice for school districts. Money's tight. Going out and buying a Windows or a Macintosh laptop, prohibitively expensive. Then there's the issue of maintenance, locking it down, etc., the cost of replacement. These are very costly programs. A Chromebook program is going to be considerably less. I don't know the actual facts, but it's at least half as expensive.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and I shall go out and fight the good fight.
Do.
not be afraid so much of what is out there.
Well, and I bet you there are school districts who are using iPads in your neck of the woods. That's what Petaluma's doing here, and I'm very disappointed in it because it's a very expensive, closed-source, proprietary product that I think doesn't do a very good job. The LA Unified School District bought, as you may remember, $30 million worth of these and is now suing Pearson and Apple saying these didn't work out at all. Whereas a Chromebook, I'm very disappointed. My kid's school switched from Chromebooks to iPads this year, and I think it was.
Well, we do have some iPads, not very many. So we use Dropbox to switch to get the information out where we need to get it out to. So.
Dropbox is less secure than any of them.
I know.
If they're worried about Google, this is the thing. I mean, I understand. Look, kids, especially kids under 13, have to be protected. Yes, absolutely. Exactly. And parents expect that. And it's your fiduciary responsibility to do that. But I believe that Google has a good solution, and a lot of schools are using it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And thank you for fighting the fight. You know what? This is an example of why teachers are so fantastic. Because I know Janice is doing this probably most of it on her own. She wants to do this. She wants to get the best thing for her students. And thank you, Janice, for doing that. I really appreciate it. News is next. More of your calls coming up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I use Dropbox. I love Dropbox. I'm just saying, if they're worried about security and privacy, and they're using Dropbox without a second thought, no, Dropbox is fine. I mean, I don't put anything super private on Dropbox, but I use it all the time. I love Dropbox. No, it's the GPU tripod. But somebody made a good point. I probably could put Windows on the Mac Pro. Actually, it's a very interesting idea. Use Dropbox. Well, or don't. But I don't have anything against Dropbox. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada, outside that area. You can use Skype out. It'll be free. Give me a ring. Let's talk high tech. Elliot is on the line from Boston. Hi, Elliot.
Hello.
Hello.
I was wondering, I have an old computer. It's like 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
Because my Mac just pooped on me, and then I had to switch from a Mac to my brother's old Windows machine.
Oh, man. That's just insult to injury. Okay.
And then now it's slowing down a little bit, and I was wondering if there's anything I can do to...
you know what I would do if I were a young man in your position? I would buy a brand new computer called the Raspberry Pi 2.
Oh, I have that.
Oh, I have that. I have that. And you're running Raspbian? What are you running on that? The Linux?
Raspberry.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good computer.
Yeah, the problem is, though, I
$35! Good computer. $35! Oh, it doesn't come with Wi-Fi. Well, that's $10. Oh, it doesn't come with a keyboard and mouse. All right, another $10. Oh, it doesn't come with a monitor. Okay, $40. Total cost, $150 for a good computer.
Yep. The problem is I use Steam on my computer.
Oh, you didn't tell me you wanted a gaming PC.
Yeah, I don't need something like super powerful. I just need something that will run like...
What game do you play?
I play Gmod.
Okay, Gary's Mod is very popular. It's based on Half-Life, the Half-Life engine, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I like Gary's Mod, but that needs a decent computer to run decently, and you want it to look good. You play it online?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking there is Steam for Linux, but I doubt there's Gary's Mod for Linux. Really, the game is the key, right? And you can look in the Steam directory and you can see which platforms are available for Gary's Mod. You need a decent computer for that, I think.
Yeah.
So, are you thinking about what are you asking me? What to get?
Yeah.
What's your budget?
Like, I don't know, like the cheaper the better.
You can, by the way, put Windows 10 on a Raspberry Pi. Microsoft offers Windows 10, the Internet of Things edition, IoT edition, for free. I don't know if Steam runs on it. I should try it. But it doesn't have very much graphics juice, horsepower. And it's really graphics that makes the big difference. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you were just playing Minecraft, I would say no problem. The Raspberry Pi is plenty to play Minecraft, but you need a little bit more. You need a little bit more for Gary's Mod, because it's it's what we call a first-person shooter.
Too.
What about those? What about those Steam boxes they're selling? These are dedicated Steam machines. And they're not super expensive. I haven't played with any of them.
Yeah, I wanted to try to get a Windows machine just because I also do some schoolwork, and I just got a super cool Logitech $180 gaming keyboard.
Well. If you got a $180 keyboard, you probably need to spend some money on it. You can't get a $200 machine. That'd be silly. Yeah. Okay, here's what I'd look at.
Spark.
All right, I'm looking into the chat room here. PC, Windows 10, 2 gigs of RAM, under $100 at Fry's if you get the promo code. Gary's Mod does work on SteamOS, so one of those Steam machines would work. But you want Windows 10. There's some pretty good Windows 10. What you haven't given me a budget. There are some pretty good Windows 10 machines. You can get a okay machine, basically a netbook from, for instance, HP for $200, but I wouldn't recommend that. I'd say think about spending $400.
$500.
Oh, that's plenty. So
around that.
Do you want to build it? Because that would be good for you. You'd learn a little bit about how machines go together and all that. You want to do that?
Yes.
Yes. By the way, building does not save you money because you're buying onesie, twosie components, and the companies like HP and Dell and Lenovo buy thousands, so they get a better deal. But if you go to PCPer.com and look at their HW leaderboard, they have a low-end system for $430 that is very capable. Very capable.
And that will, will they just ship me all the parts and the instructions on how to put it together?
No. Would you expect that? They'll tell you what to buy, give you links to Newegg or Amazon where you can buy it, and then you have to put it together. But it's not hard. It's really just components. You get a case, you screw it in, and you learn a lot, especially when you fry the motherboard because you forgot to, cover the screws and things like that. That's fun. But remember, when you build your own computer, Elliot, there's no one to call except me. But you can't just call the company that made the computer. If you buy it from Dell, you call. If it doesn't work, you call Dell. But if you bought the motherboard from Amazon and the graphics card from Newegg and the CPU from somebody else, you have to call you have to figure out what broke and call the individual that you bought that part from. There's no one number. It depends. And of course, with PCs, one of the big problems is it's hard to say exactly where the flaw lies. But that's why you'll learn a lot. I would start, where I'd start, Elliot, is Newegg. Newegg.com. They have what they call bare bones systems. They're not a complete computer, but they're the case, the motherboard, sometimes the CPU, and then you add hard drives, a monitor, keyboard, and stuff. And you could start. You could save money. But it gets you a good start. Newegg.com, I think, a good place to go. And as Rob in the chat room says, don't forget the thermal paste. And if you don't know what that is, well, you'll learn. Gary in Dana Point, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Gary.
Hey, Leo. How are you today?
I am well. How are you?
Oh, excellent. What a privilege to speak to you. Thank you very much.
Oh, well.
Long-time listener.
I'm very honored that you called.
Hey, real quick, I have a little Dell Inspiron 11-inch convertible, so touch screen, and it flips over. Great computer, really fast, but for some reason, it keeps dropping the wireless. It'll connect and then disconnect, and connect and disconnect.
Windows 10?
8.
8.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you should say that, because I have a relatively new, it's about a year-old Dell XPS 13. Same thing.
Yeah.
It can't see the Wi-Fi, but if I reboot it, it works. Will a reboot fix this?
Yeah, I mean, I have a brand new Netgear wireless cable data gateway with a DOCSIS 8, but I mean, it'll connect and it runs really fast, and then for some reason it just hangs and then disconnects. So you get that little exclamation bar in the wireless, and then it reconnects again.
Ah, well, now you know that there's a key that will turn off the wireless. You're smart. You're not hitting that key by accident, are you?
No, of course not.
It's a function key. You know, you have to press the function.
Right.
I think it's function 9 or something. It'll turn off the wireless. Yeah, I think that there are sometimes issues. I would call Dell and see if they have a fix for it, maybe a driver fix. I have a similar issue with my Dell. It's very annoying. Now, it didn't really kick in until I upgraded to 10. That's why I was wondering if... But Windows 8, I think it had that problem with Windows. It came with Windows 8. I think it might have had that problem with Windows 8. It just really became a problem with 10. So it's not I don't think it's the router. I really think it's the Dell. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Power saving mode. Open up the wireless adapter settings, then power saving mode, and make sure it's not disconnecting Wi-Fi to save power. I dimly remember that. Let me go get my Dell and see. Our lease runs until April 2017, but we figure, well, let's start looking, and we found somewhere that's quite suitable, smaller, but we don't use half this space. A lot of it's vacant. Yeah, we sublet for a while. We sublet over there, but Alex moved out of there, and now we're kind of like, hey, our rent just went up by 33%, and so we've gone back and forth with this place we found. It's Broadcom's in there right now, and it's got a great server room which we can use. It's got a good space we could turn into a studio. Roughly not as big as this studio space. Yeah, you can close that. But my office is bigger than this, so we'll have this studio, and then like 2/3 of the out there studio space. So it's plenty big enough. So yeah, no, it's a perfect space, and we can get a 10-year lease, so we don't have to go through this all over again. I don't want to buy a building. I'm 59. I don't think I should buy a building. What am I going to do? Oh yeah, I was going to look and see Windows X Device Manager. Let's see here. So you're saying network adapter. Whoops. Should use a mouse. Dell Wireless 802.11ac properties. This device is working properly. Power management. Ah, look at that. Allow the computer to turn off this device to save power. Hell no. See that it's off right now. See the red X? It's off right now. That's very frustrating, but I bet you it's that. I wish, say, allow a magic packet to wake the computer, but I don't know what a magic packet is or where I'd get one. So that's interesting. Let's try that. Ironically, it's a Broadcom adapters. Now, but you see, the same thing has happened to me. Oh, it just turned it on. Oh, I bet that's what was going on. I bet that's what was going on. Good fix. Good fix. That should not be, that's a bad choice by default, right? I will mention that. That's from IC Nerd. Fix Windows 8 laptop dropping Wi-Fi connection constantly. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Interesting fix here from Slow-Mo in the chat room. We were talking about our last caller's Dell Inspiron would the Wi-Fi come and go. And I said, you know, the same thing happens to my Dell XPS 13. It's very frustrating. I'll reboot and everything's fine. And Slomo said, you know, this is a common problem, and there is a fix. So I hope that caller's still listening. By the way, it seems to have worked for me. I, in fact, opened up my Dell, and sure, lo and behold, the Wi-Fi was off. Windows key X opens up the quick menu, and you can select Device Manager right from the Windows key X. Because what we're going to do is we're going to look at our network adapter. And in this case, I have a Dell Wireless 802.11ac network adapter. I'm going to Properties on that adapter, and then the Power Management tab. See, the default, apparently, in Windows 10, I think this is true also in Windows 8, is to allow the computer to turn off this device to save power. That was checked. The minute I unchecked it, my Wi-Fi came back. So I'm thinking this might be related. Certainly that is not, you know, that's a setting that is really questionable. Yeah, sure, it's going to maybe save some battery life. I can't imagine it being much. But at what cost? Dropping Wi-Fi? Yeah, no thanks. Today, having a computer always on the internet is more important to me than an extra half-hour battery life. So thank you, Slomo, for that suggestion. And it seems to have fixed my problem. Wow. What a miracle. And I hope it fixes yours, caller. Thank you. Hugo's in Azusa, California, our next call. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Hugo.
Hey, Leo, big fan. You know, I was sitting here thinking and listening to your show, and suddenly I realized I can call you because I was trying to work on this issue.
Perfect.
And what I have is a Pavilion HP, and I've upgraded to Windows 10, and ever since I had 8, for some reason, no matter what settings I have, it goes into sleep mode when I don't touch it at all within 30 seconds.
Oh. That's not good.
No, and I've gone through all the settings, I've gone through the drives, I've done upgrades, and I just can't seem to find. I can't watch any videos. I have to constantly touch the mouse to keep it on.
Yeah, I mean, that is certainly something in the settings, but I presume you have gone into the power options in your control panel, and
Yes. I've reset them. I've done what I could. To my knowledge.
What plan are you using? Because there are various plans. I'm using the balanced plan. That's what Windows 10 recommends anyway. And you go into that and you can change the plan settings. And there is, in fact, a setting there to turn off the display. In my case, it says after 5 minutes on battery and after 10 minutes when plugged in. But you can choose any other length of time you'd like, including never.
Yeah, I even did that, and I just did it again right now.
And it's still going to sleep.
It still does it, and even when it goes into the sleep mode, it brings up the screen, the screensaver, and it's fighting itself because it keeps trying to turn off and on.
The screensaver turns it on, and then it goes to sleep. And then the screensaver wakes it up.
It doesn't wake it up.
That's nutty. That is just...
That was something new I noticed for now because I decided to try. Let's do never, and it's fighting itself.
Yeah. Did this come installed within Windows 8 or did you upgrade?
It came installed.
All right. And has it always done this, or did it just start doing this?
It's always done this. So I've always kind of lived with it, and I kind of tackle it every once in a while and see if it'll change. And no.
Who makes the computer? Did you say?
It's an HP.
HP Pavilion. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, there are sometimes issues with installs. It's possible, although, when you're using the version of 8 that came with the computer, so this shouldn't come up. But it is sometimes the case that when you install Windows, it chooses which kernel to use based on hardware capabilities. And one of the issues that I've seen happen before, if Windows chooses the wrong kernel, it won't handle the ACPI, the power interface configuration properly. And I wonder if that's an issue. But the problem is came this way from HP.
Right.
I would go to the HP site and search their knowledge bases and their support. If this is a common issue on Pavilions, others will have had it, and somebody might find the fix for that.
Right.
If you don't find it, then I think there may be a hardware issue. And how old is it?
It's about 3 years old.
Conveniently out of warranty, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The fact that the screensaver wakes it up and then it tries to go to sleep again, that's not right. That's a problem. And I would describe that specific problem to HP support. They may know about it. This is the other...
I was thinking that right now, maybe the display adapters.
Yeah, there's something going on that doesn't sound quite right. Certainly, that's going to use more battery life, turning it off and on again, than just leaving it on. Right. So it's definitely not a power setting you want. And you've already done all the changes in the control panel. Yeah, I have to think there's something else wrong. You might, just as a quick try, go to the HP site and download all the drivers HP offers for Windows 8 for that hardware. And that will include something called a motherboard driver or all-in-one driver. That may also fix it. Could be power supply issues, could be hardware issues, but it also could be a driver issue. So that's something at least easy to try. Update the drivers, specifically the drivers from HP. Actually, I'll tell you what, let's take a little break. Bottom of the hour is upon us. A reminder that, and I've mentioned this a couple of times on the show, I said, I'll put that on the website, but I never told you the website, techguylabs.com. Links to anything I talk about, suggestions, tips, plus your comments. They're all at techguylabs.com. And after the show, audio and video from the show as well. Techguylabs.com is the website. No sign up, no fee. Well, I don't want your email address. We don't have a newsletter. It's just there for your edification and use. TechGuyLabs.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Slow-mo is giving me a link from support.microsoft.com. You may experience connectivity issues or performance issues when you connect a mobile PC that is running Windows to a wireless access point. Gosh, that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound right. And the cause is balanced power plan. So they have some suggestions for ways to improve your reliability. This is another fix. Again, it just makes me feel like most of us should be just using Chromebooks and not worry about it, or tablets and not worry about it. And then those of us who want to write software or edit videos or do something more elaborate, play games, we can get a PC. Sandra in Bedford, Indiana. Hi, Sandra.
Hey there.
Shockwave getting you down.
Yeah, it's like just every little whip stitch,
Yeah. So what is happening?
Well, I go on, if I go on Google, if I go on Firefox, and I've also tried Pale Moon, and I have problems on all of them with the plug-in. It'll say...
It pops up an error message?
It just basically stops you, and then the little error message will pop up.
What does the error message say?
Unresponsive script. The script may be busy or stopped, and then I actually took pictures. What the heck did I do with my camera? Anyway.
Sorry, it's radio. I can't see it. But interesting. Interesting. Well, how old is the computer?
I don't think it's any older than 3 years.
Okay. And you're running Windows 10, Windows 8?
You know what? I just upgraded to Windows 10, and I've had more problems.
Yeah.
I've had problems with it before.
Shockwave is a technology from Adobe that preceded Flash and has, in some cases, continued in parallel, but you don't need it anymore. So one thing you could go to the Programs control panel and uninstall Shockwave. You don't need it. You especially don't need it with Chrome because Chrome provides its own version of Flash built in.
Okay.
So you could also, if you see, in fact, I would go and look for anything with Adobe. If it's Flash or Shockwave, get rid of it. Uninstall it.
Okay.
It may be that you have an older version or a broken version.
I installed the latest one just recently.
But maybe it was broken, and installing a new one didn't replace the thing that was broken. We don't know. So uninstall it. Get rid of it. If as long as you're using Chrome, Google's browser, you shouldn't need any additional plugin.
Okay.
Now, Internet Explorer for a while had a default setting that said, "Let me know about any script errors." This you do not want because there's nothing you can do. It's not your website. You can't fix it.
Right.
And I'm a little concerned. I mean, this error, this "I'm waiting for something to happen" error, is not helpful. There's nothing you can do about it, right?
Right.
Do you play any online games?
Well, I
You
used
said
to
Pale Moon?
Tetris or Solitaire, but I'm
Yeah.
not doing that.
Yeah, those might have used Shockwave. Some older online games use Shockwave. But I don't think I think you don't want it, and I think you should get rid of it. It, by the way, is a significant issue for security, which is one of the reasons keeping it up to date is really important.
Okay.
So I would go in there and uninstall any. Do you have Adobe Reader? Do you have?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Reader you may still want because that's how you read PDFs. Although on Windows 10, I don't think you need it anymore.
Okay.
So what I would do, I don't. This is my scorched earth because Adobe has not done well by us. They haven't really kept their stuff up to date. So I would press Windows key X, go to Program and Features, and uninstall any Adobe programs you have on there.
Okay.
Now you may get to a website that you
Photoshop that I
no
purchased.
keep that. You purchased that. That's fine.
All right. Yeah.
I'm really talking about the web plugins, and that's Reader, Shockwave, and Flash. Okay. If you need them, you'll get you'll get to a page, and the page will say, "Well, you need them. You're missing a plugin." Mm-hmm. At that point, you've uninstalled it. You've gotten the cruft out. I bet you won't see this error message anymore. And then you can go and install it. Although, as I said, if you're using Chrome, you shouldn't have to.
So if I stay on the Chrome server, I should be okay.
Yeah, Chrome is a better program for surfing than that.
All right, cool.
Thank you for the call. I hope that helps. If it doesn't, call me back.
I sure will.
All right. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Christina, San Diego, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Oh, Leo, we need your input. Yeah, we have a landline, and we want to discontinue it and start that number with a cable package. But the cable rep says someone has to be on site besides disrupting schedules. I said, you know what? You provide so many services everywhere. All you do is sling electrons through the air. Why does someone have to come here?
They don't want to, by the way. In the cable industry, they call that a truck roll because they have to truck has to roll out, and that costs them. They don't want to do it. If they say they have to, there's a reason.
But do you know?
Yeah, I think I know. So, and one of the reasons the landline is such a good thing to have is, and you may have noticed this in years past, if the power goes out, the phone continues to work.
It does.
Because back when it was, Ma Bell, the government required that they power those lines from the central office independently of the power that your utilities provide you. That way, if the power goes out, you can still make an emergency call. And it's one of the reasons I like landlines. Now, that doesn't work that way with your cable company provided phone because that phone isn't using telephone lines. It's using the internet. It's a voice over the internet. And when the power goes out, guess what else goes out? The internet.
Yes.
So what they roll a truck to do is install a big old battery in your garage so that if the power goes out, the phone can continue to work for a few hours anyway. It's for safety reasons, and that's why they want to roll a truck. By the way, my cable company no longer does that. Comcast, who's your cable company?
Time Warner.
Time Warner. I guess Time Warner still does. Comcast stopped doing that. They used to put out a battery. Now they don't, which means if my power goes out, I've got no phone service. I guess in this day and age of cell phones, people don't worry about that as much. Do you have a cell phone?
No, but the concern here is that they were going to cut the cable or the copper.
Cut the copper. They may well cut the copper. They shouldn't. They don't own the copper. The copper's owned by your phone company. It would be trespassing for them to cut the copper.
And they have to come out? Have to.
Well, they say they do, and I'm thinking that's probably to install a battery, because other than that, no, because, well...
All they have to do to confirm the number works is call it. I told him that.
Yeah,
call
but remember,
the
they have to switch the wires, because there's a wire going into your house from the telephone pole. Now now it has to come from the cable. So they do have to put a little box in there.
All right. Thanks.
They don't want to. That costs some money. They don't want to come out. I know it's a pain in the butt. There was once a poll that asked people, which do you hate worse, your cable company or a heart attack? The cable company won. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Pale Moon. I never even heard of Pale Moon. This is an open source web browser. It's interesting. It's Firefox based, so it's Gecko. Or maybe, I don't know, they still use Gecko? Maybe they don't. Yeah, I don't see any reason to use a forked browser, frankly. Because it'll be slower to update. Stick with Firefox, Chrome, and IE, I would say.
Do you have a microphone outside that's picking up the sound of the rain?
I know, isn't that
What
great?
is that? Where is it? Is it just kind of open up there?
The roof.
Oh, that's how you heard it earlier when you said you could hear the rain. Like, you have headphones on. How do you hear the rain?
There's no, the roof is insulated.
Oh, wow. Okay. I thought I was hallucinating.
Either somebody's popping corn or it's raining out there.
So I just looked up your potential new address.
How did you do that?
Well,
you looked up Broadcom?
Yeah,
Man,
exactly.
you're as bad as those hackers in the chat room.
But it's a little too uncomfortably close to Lagunitas Brewing
It's
Company.
right next to Lagunitas.
Guess where Kim's going to be at 2 o'clock every Sunday?
It's not as good a location in the sense that we're downtown.
Oh, I love this
But parking is easy. There's great restaurants. There's Lagunitas. There's actually 2 breweries right in there.
Yeah, the other one across the street. Petaluma Brewing or something like that.
And, and parking is a snap. There's none of this street parking.
Well,
You just park right in front of
I
the...
usually have a problem unless there's a parade or the butter and eggs or the car parade.
Right.
Lagunitas.
What is the address? Is it
1370 or something like that?
It's so there's a Broadcom's going to stay in some of that building. I think our address is 51 or 1301. I think it's 1351 Redwood Way.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely a cuter location because that's very much industrial, but
yeah, it's not as charming.
Yeah.
But it's much more functional.
Yeah, 1351 is
I think
Broadcom.
that's it. That's Broadcom, yeah. Yeah, you have to sign all these NDAs to get in there. And then the badge expires after 24. There's all these things. All
Are we
the
supposed
security.
to?
Well, they don't want bad guys. to go
You
in
mean
there.
right now you're having to?
Yeah, if you want to look at the space.
Oh, okay.
But that won't be. We have our own entrance.
I was going to say, talking about it right now, does that violate the NDA?
No. One of the it's near Orchard Supply. It's near our favorite Italian restaurant, Cafe Giostra's there. We go there a lot. Applebee's.
No, thanks.
No, it's there's a Burger King. Lots of parking.
There's that casino.
The Casino 101, which you should never go to.
My cousin had a wedding there.
Was it good?
You know what? I spent the whole time in the car sick. I actually had the flu, and I went to the ceremony and the.
I'm so sorry.
This was like, I can't even. This was her first marriage, so this must have been over 18 years ago. 20 years ago?
Yeah. And the waning minutes of the Tech Guy show for this weekend. Leo Laporte, I am the Tech Guy, and I'm glad you were here. I hope you'll come back each and every weekend. We talk high tech. In some cities, we're on weekdays, but most of the time it's on a weekend because that's a good time to think about your computer or your internet, your home theater, and start messing with stuff. Got time for a couple more calls. We'll start with Jack in Riverside, California. Hey, Jack.
Hey, Leo. Been listening to you since back in the screensaver days.
Ah, the good old days. That was 1998 to 2004.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's funny. Once you get into 2000s, it feels like modern times. But now I realize that's 11 years ago. That's a long time ago. Times have changed. What can I do for you?
I had a hard drive failure, and I replaced my hard drive. I had it updated to Windows 7, but I bought the CDs from HP and rolled back to Windows 7. I'm sorry, I had Windows 10.
Right. You went back to 7.
Correct. I loaded all the CDs, or the DVDs from HP, and now I'm trying to update, and it won't go to Windows Update, and I'm stuck at 2 of 233.
Yay, caramba. Now, people, you wonder why I keep saying stop buying Windows machines? Stop the insanity! Yeah, it sounds like this happens sometimes with the update process. An update that doesn't complete can block it. And it's really important that you get all these updates in place. You know, you haven't done much. One thing you could do is just reinstall Windows 7 and try again. That might be the easiest thing. There is a troubleshooter on Microsoft's support site. You can Google Microsoft support Windows update won't work, and you'll see they have all these steps for clearing out. The most recent update didn't complete, almost certainly. And the way updates work is if they have to be done in order. So you're stuck.
Right.
So
and I don't like Windows 10. I didn't like.
Yeah, no, it's perfectly fine to go back to Windows 7. We were just talking earlier in the show that they're going to continue to support that till 2020.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
you're fine. Windows 7 is a great. You know what? I think I might even still believe this. It's certainly until 10 came out was the best version of Windows ever. I think you might argue that 10, if the bugs get conquered, because it is a little bit buggy, but if the bugs get conquered, will be the best version of Windows ever. But I think we still have to say for now, Windows 7 is the best version of Windows to use. So I want you to get it working. You haven't done much with it, right?
No, just trying to get HP updates and still some of those.
Did the computer wasn't a Windows 10 computer though, right? It ran Windows 7 originally.
No, I put 10 on.
Oh. No, yeah, you came with 7 and you updated to 10 and now you want to go back.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's a brand new hard drive.
That shouldn't affect it.
Okay.
Is it stuck on an HP update or a Windows update? Do you know?
Windows update.
All right, yeah.
I'm stuck on 2 of 233 and it won't move for over 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, and that means it won't go on until it finishes that.
Yeah, and it won't shut them down either. I tried closing it and using all kinds of things. It won't. They keep it's stuck there. I can't get it out of there.
It's a stuck update. This happens. And I will put in the link in the show notes to the Microsoft Troubleshooter that says what to do. You can clear, you can uninstall it, you can roll back. There's all sorts of steps. It's a very long thing where I'd walk you through it, but it's really quite a few different things, including registry editing. But to me, the easiest thing to do, you haven't gotten very far, wipe the drive, do it one more time. It could very well be that there was a failure at some point in the install anyway. Try again. Try again, in other words. I think that'll be the most efficient thing to do. Gloria in Los Angeles. Hi, Gloria.
Hi, Leo. I have a JVC TV. I've had it for about a year, and it came with a Roku, I guess you call it an adapter. It looks like a small thumb drive.
Yeah.
You put it in the side of the TV, and you can get all these things like Netflix and all these things.
Yeah.
Someone told me that in order to use it, you had to have a router, and I'm kind of like...
Oh, yeah, you need Wi-Fi for that.
Okay, I'm like the person who wrote Computers for Dummies. I know nothing.
Do you have a wireless internet access?
No, I have a modem with DSL.
Okay, so you do have internet.
Yes.
Yeah, because you have to have internet for a Roku. So you have two choices. You could go out and get a Roku that uses Ethernet and plug it right into your modem. But then you still want a router because you want to use your computer too, right? So
right, and I thought that was with the Roku adapter, this little thing.
So you have a cable or DSL modem. Does it have antennas on it?
No.
So it's not wireless, it's a wired. And when you use it, you connect your computer via a cable.
Right. I connect it to my phone. The modem is connected to my phone. I mean, I can use my phone without...
There's no wires, right?
Right.
Good news. You have Wi-Fi.
Oh.
Yeah, because otherwise it wouldn't work.
Well, it is connected. The modem is connected to my computer and then also connected to my phone. But I don't have to be off the phone to use the computer. It's not that old.
No. But your phone's not connected to anything.
No. It's one of the wires of the phone is, well, actually, the phone is connected into the wall, and the modem is also connected.
Oh, you mean not cell phone. You mean a telephone.
Telephone, I'm sorry.
Okay, so, yeah, your telephone is connected to something.
Right.
So what you need, you have a internet, but it's wired, what's called wired internet. Do you dial into your connection? No, you have a DSL connection, right?
Right.
Right. So it's just there. Whenever you turn on your computer, it's just there.
Right.
Yeah. So you can go out and buy what's called a Wi-Fi access point, or WAP. And they're not very expensive. They're $30, $40, the cheapest ones. You can spend hundreds of dollars if you want. But what that will do, that'll connect to your DSL modem, and that has antennas on it. And then you don't have to have your laptop connected to the modem anymore, because your laptop has Wi-Fi, so you can go around the house and still be online. Your smartphone, you can turn on the Wi-Fi and use that instead of expensive data from your cell phone carrier. And most importantly for your question, you then tell your Roku, hey, I have Wi-Fi, use that.
But again, I just have the regular landline phones. I don't have a cell phone.
Okay. You don't need one for this.
Okay.
But you do need a Wi-Fi adapter for the... The other thing you can do is call your DSL provider, because they will also offer Wi-Fi. You have a DSL modem that doesn't. Probably pretty old, because most of the time nowadays, who's your DSL provider?
My DSL provider is DSL Extreme.
Oh, good, yeah. Good friends of mine. So call them. They may charge you a little extra, but say, can I have a wireless? I want Wi-Fi. And they'll say, oh, we didn't give you a Wi-Fi modem? We just gave you a regular one. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you should have a Wi-Fi modem. And they do the whole thing for you. And then they will give you a piece of paper that will have the name of your Wi-Fi modem. And I hope, if they set it up right, a password. And then you input that information into your Roku stick, and you'll be able to watch Netflix and all that stuff on your TV.
So I don't need a router, because I was thinking if I got
That's it. That is a router.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's just a Wi-Fi router.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but they'll do it for you. That actually is probably the easiest thing to do, because they can set it all up for you, and that makes it pretty straightforward. They may send you a box, but they'll have instructions in it. Hey, I'm out of time. Thanks for joining me. Have a great Geek Week. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Thanks, Kim Schaffer. Thanks, Nathan Staten. See ya. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.